So guys, today I went out of my way to watch a few Wild Kratts episodes as recommended by the Return of the Fossa. One of those episodes being this one from season 1 called Masked Bandits, and the other is this two-part special known as Creepy Creatures, and tonight I will be sharing my thoughts on all of those episodes. Starting off with the Masked Bandits episode, which is basically an episode that involves the Wild Kratts team members getting ready for some type of Halloween costume party that's happening, and then they get sidetracked into discovering some weird stuff that's going on in the woods. And they also spend a good chunk of this episode going after a few raccoons and stuff and learning some stuff about raccoons. And yeah, overall, this episode was pretty good. It is by no means my favorite Halloween-themed episode, movie, or special, or anything like that. No, it's very far from being that, like very, very far. And it is also by no means by far my favorite Wild Kratts episode. But still, I thought the episode was pretty solid, had a good plot to it, and had nice character interactions. And there was also some good jokes in this episode as well, like with Jimmy Z, for example. And one of those good jokes being him on his video game. And I also really like the fact that the voice of Jimmy Z's video game that he was playing in this episode sounds a lot like the announcer guy for Adult Swim's Checkered Past commercials. I thought that was a nice touch. You also get to learn some interesting things about like bats and raccoons and stuff in this episode. And yeah, that's nice, but overall, I don't really think this episode should ever be considered worth watching. I guess unless if you're a really big Wild Kratts fan, and I guess maybe like unless if you like want to watch something random for the Halloween season this year, I guess. But still, not to say this episode's bad. Still definitely a nice solid episode that should be a good watch, especially if you love Wild Kratts. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I feel the episode's maybe like 8 out of 10-ish. But then, a few seasons later, we get the two-part Creepy Creature special, which is also, in my opinion, definitely a better Halloween installment for the show than Masked Bandits. And yeah, that's especially the case for part 2. And it's also a lot more Halloween-y, too, than that Masked Bandits episode, but I don't think that should be too surprising. And like I just said, I definitely prefer part 2 of the special over part 1. Not that part 1's bad, though. Part 1's pretty solid, and it's especially good for build-up since it sets up the plot for part 2 really well. As we see the Wild Kratts team getting ready for Halloween, like, putting their costumes on, and we also have the side heroes dressing up as the villains in the show, which I also thought was a nice touch. And we also have, who is definitely my favorite villain of the show, I'm not too sure about my favorite character, but favorite villain, definitely Zach, getting ready for Halloween as well, with him plotting his haunted house and all that stuff, and we even have him disguising himself as this invisible guy stealing the Wild Kratts team's miniaturizer near the end of this episode. And yeah, we have all this set up for part 2, and then we get part 2, which, like I've said multiple times, is definitely better in my opinion. Alright, so here's part 2, in which, by the way, guys, I didn't even mention the fact that, like, all of the Wild Kratts villains are involved in this two-parter. It's not just Zach, so yeah, we have the villains taking the Wild Kratts team's animal friends, so our heroes have to work together to go to Zach's haunted house to save their animal friends before they could go out trick-or-treating for Halloween. And yeah, okay, so the reason why part 2 of the special is my favorite out of these 3 episodes. Definitely my favorite part of these 3 episodes. My favorite thing to come out of these 3 episodes is when the Wild Kratts team is in Zach's haunted house. Because, just so you guys know, I love haunted houses, and you'll get to hear me talk more about them on this Total Drama video that will be coming out later this month. Although, to be honest with you guys, if I remember correctly, as I was watching this episode, I did feel like the haunted house could have felt more, haunted. But honestly, that's rather just a nitpick, and maybe I shouldn't expect that from a PBS kids show. I still definitely enjoyed seeing these characters be inside of the house, and more specifically, a certain scene I really liked while they were inside of the house was this one scene where they showed the animals as ghosts. I thought that was a cool scene, and it could also maybe be my favorite part of the episode, as I thought it was cool, and I also felt that it helped to make this special feel more Halloween-y. And also, yeah, as to be expected from this episode, the heroes win and the villains lose. And also, after the day is saved, we get a nice Halloween song from the heroes near the end of this episode, which I also thought was pretty cool. And yeah, overall, I especially enjoyed part 2 of this Halloween special, and I also feel that it deserves to be up there with Bass Class as being among my favorite Wild Kratts episodes by far. And yeah, overall, this special was really good, and I feel it's deserving of a more definite 8 out of 10 rating than Masked Bandits. Even though that episode was good too, but I feel that part two of Creepy Creatures will always be my favorite of these three episodes. But of course, that's just in my opinion. If you guys want to, you can let me know in the comment section what you think of this video, or like what you think of these three Wild Kratts episodes, if you've seen any of them. And yep, that about wraps up the vid, everybody. So have a happy Halloween season. Bye, and thanks for watching.